everyone. Welcome to the Booze and Boobs podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Katrina. Thanks for joining us today as we talk about some of our favorite horror movies.
We created this podcast as a way to give women more of a voice in horror. Men dominate most industries, especially film and television.
And that also goes for podcasts. We'll focus on female characters, motivations, or just expectations placed on women in horror, even if the situation is happening to a man.
We're excited you're here and we hope you love it.
Now let's get to today's movie.
Well, this is going to be a fun one. I think so.
We love a theme, and it was my birthday, and I was like, okay, we could do something wintry because January is cold and miserable, and so are we. But then I was like, oh, you know what else happened in January? Rachel got a roommate. And guess what? There's literally a movie called The Roommate.
I laughed so hard because we were trying to pick what Katrina was gonna do, and I'm harping on her. I'm like, "It's your birthday. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" And then she's just like, "We could do the roommate." I gobsmacked. Hilarious.
I love a
Incredible.
joke. I love a theme. It's all good. Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna do for January, and I think it's gonna be a good time. I think we have a lot to talk
It's,
about, more than what to talk about in the actual movie.
I mean, the movie is pretty cut and dry. Like this, well, let's summarize it real quick. How about that?
Okay, The Roommate, 2011,
Yeah.
director. Okay, I'm pissed off already. The director of this movie is Christian Christensen.
And you know what? That's only he only we only have the parents to blame for that.
Um, what in the world? Why is this a joke to you? Is your child's life a joke?
I think some people think so. Yes.
Piss me off. Notable actors: Leighton Meester, Queen; Minka Kelly, Cam Gigandet, Ali Mashaka, and Danielle Ackles. She is credited as Danielle Harris, but she is married to Jensen Ackles, so I wrote Danielle Ackles. Oops.
I was gonna ask if any relation to Jensen Ackles,
A big one.
cause hot.
Well, and she's hot. And also she plays a lesbian in this movie. And I was watching with Kayla, my roommate, and when we were
See?
starting the movie, we were starting the roommate, and she's like, "Okay, start this movie. I need to see what I need to take notes on." Because I told her that you picked the movie for this month, and I told her it was a roommate, and she just went, "Are you kidding?"
No, not at
That
all.
was a very funny. I love it.
I love a gag. Well, and hello, Kayla. We know that you're a an
The only
avid
listener.
listener of ours. Yeah, literally. We have two listeners. They're both Rachel's friends. Because I have none. Not even my wife
What am
listens
I,
that
a duck?
often. You are on here. You don't count.
I have a Spotify account too.
You don't count as a listener because it's you who's
I listen to
listening
myself
to
talk all
yourself.
the time. Why do you think I wanted a podcast? I wanted to talk more.
We need more podcasts because obviously you don't have enough to say. You don't have enough time to say everything you need to.
Exactly. But the point I was gonna make about Danielle Ackles, Kayla said something about how she can't not associate her with her character on One Tree Hill. I haven't seen that show, but I guess she does something on there. And I'm like, well, she also plays a lesbian in Fired Up, so I like Danielle Ackles. So we've got that. Our most notable characters are Sarah, played by Minka Kelly, and Rebecca, played by Leighton Meester. As actors, I announced Leighton Meester first because she is the star. But Sarah is really the protagonist in this movie. Leighton Meester plays Rebecca, the roommate. And there are some things about her that I'm like, I get it, girl. But then there are some things I cannot forgive. So I really struggle with me liking that character.
One thing that you do have in common with Rebecca is unmedicated. So you
I had no idea where you were gonna go with all of that.
I could have been meaner, but I wasn't.
Oh, that's pretty mean. Um, but to refute your point, Rebecca has medication. I don't. So I think
She's
that makes
not.
her worse.
Yeah, I feel like she's force medicated, which you have not reached that point. So, congratulations.
No, but Instagram, I get messages probably at least once a week, let me send you some resources. Someone wanted to check in on you. And I'm like, Instagram,
What
leave me alone. I get a pop-up when I open up my app and it's like, here you go. Do you need help? And I'm like, I need a lot of help, but not from you. Thank you.
is it free? First of all, then we'll talk.
I won't even look at it because they just piss me off. They didn't approach me in the correct way.
Fair
So,
enough.
do you want to summarize? I
Sure.
bet I bet this movie could be summarized in 3 sentences.
Is that a challenge?
It is now.
Does it matter if it's a run-on sentence?
I think if it could be written and used appropriate punctuation, then
Mm,
I'll allow it.
okay. Sarah goes to college.
One,
Sarah gets roommate.
two,
Sarah gets a roommate. Three. The roommate's crazy and tries to kill everybody that she loves.
three. The end.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I even did short sentences for you. Very
Wow.
simple.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We've about covered it all. It was really great having the time to sit here and talk to you. We'll see you again for February.
Really in depth, you know. What else do you need?
That's kind of it. And especially when I was taking notes, I was taking notes on scenes as they were happening
Mhm.
like I would for any other movie. But I'm like, I mean, really, it's just a collection of events in a chronological order that's just going to get us to the very
Yeah.
end. It's just, it's more of the same, but different more because we just have to have like, okay, she did this, and then she did that, and then she did this.
I feel like a notable character needs to be the 2010s fashion
Boy,
because because this was 2011, so that was high school for us.
okay,
You
for you, I graduated in '09, bitch.
okay, some not all of us were homeschooled and graduated early.
Okay,
Okay, you should have been in high school,
but I wasn't.
but you weren't. Anyway, that's when I was a
I was
junior in
getting
high
my
school.
bachelor's degree when this movie came out, so thank you.
So it should align with you being in college, but like you said in the notes, you didn't have a dorm room experience. Neither did I.
Nope.
So we do not have personal experience with dorms to pull from on this movie, but I will say they had a big ass room.
I know. I asked Kayla because she went to a school with dorms, and I was like, "Did it look like this at all?" And she was like, "No,
No, it looks like prison cells with painted cinder blocks, basically. They had really
not at
nice
this school.
washer and dryer, which we don't need to talk about
Don't."
what, but they had a nice washer and dryer. They had a nice little like room like to get in. But I didn't like that you had to like share that they had to share like bathroom shower with everybody else. Nah, that sucks.
I feel like that's pretty common.
It might
I
be.
don't
I
like
know
it, but
the community college that I went to, it was like two rooms. It was like a Jack and Jill shared between two rooms. So,
the community
oh,
college had dorms.
yes. Most of them, the ones down here do. I
Community
played,
college?
yeah, I played basketball, and a lot of the girls were out of state. So they would stay in the dorms for the community college.
Oh, I guess all I know is like JUCO over here. As far as I know, they don't have any kind of living spaces, but they do accept people who aren't in just Johnson
Mm.
County. I don't know.
So
Um,
what themes would you like to cover for this movie today?
I think it's kind of crazy. We have a decently long list of things to pull from. So we've got toxic friendships, lesbians, homoeroticism, trauma bonds. I wrote the note male situation reversal. I feel like I made sense to myself when I wrote that. And then Katrina added, oh, I'm going to read it the way I read it in my head. Mental illness in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we get it.
We do.
So, okay, I know you summarized it, but just to go through, and I guess, as we talk, we can talk about each like scene in particular. But really, the longer summary is Sarah Matthews, I think, is going to this college. She's studying fashion. Uh, she gets a roommate who becomes obsessed with her. Although I don't know why. She hasn't done anything to deserve that. If anything, you should be obsessed with Leighton Meester. And then she's dating and she has a life and career aspirations. And then it kind of just gets I don't want to say it gets put off. She just has to struggle, this life and death struggle with
Hmm.
her roommate. But then it's gonna have a happy ending because it's really just like a PG-13 slasher,
Yeah.
kind of slasher, teen
The only
slasher.
the only people in this movie that die are the ex-boyfriend who is not
Hot.
either good or bad, but true. And then her at the end. The villain dies. So it's really like,
Uh,
or does she die? I don't know.
yeah,
She got
yeah.
stabbed in the back. So like she could have just had blow. I feel like she
How
could have
poetic.
lived.
I think she did. I think she did die because didn't they do like the glassy eye long
Like
shot?
her eyes rolled back into her head. Yeah.
Something like that. So,
We assume
um,
she's dead.
I did a I say a drinking game. I really just wrote it. I didn't actually take a drink. Also, I was drinking water when I watched this. But I was like, a drinking game for every time someone affiliated with a supernatural teen media shows up. So we've got just going more chronologically. Kat Graham, Bonnie from Vampire Diaries. She plays like the friend's roommate. So like she's in it for 2 minutes. There's one of the werewolves from New Moon. I don't know his name, and I think he played Paul in New Moon. I could have looked it up, but I was making my little list and I was like, oh, Kat Graham's in this, and then I know Cam Gigande's in it. He's James from Twilight. Nina Dobrev pops up to be an important nobody character toward closer to the end. But then I was just like looked up and they're at this college party scene and I was like, he's in New Moon. So I was like, meh, 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 added him. And then Matt Lanter plays the ex-boyfriend Jason. And I made a note and I was like, I think he counts because he did the voice of Anakin in the Clone Wars for Star Wars, but also he was in Vampire Suck, which is just a parody of Twilight.
Mhm.
So it counts in two ways for me. So he belongs here. And then I thought Minka Kelly was the girl that is in the originals, but she's not. That's somebody else. So even though she is in teen dramas like Friday Night Lights and a couple other things, um, she did not go on the list. So I was hydrated for the movie.
We love that. I do feel like the boyfriend, I can't remember his name.
Steven,
Steven, he looks like he would be a vampire in the show. So,
well, he played the evil vampire in Twilight.
oh, there you
And
go.
and there were some times when he was talking and he was like moving his face to the side, and I was just hearing like him in Twilight, like holding up the camera. I borrowed this from your house. I hope you don't mind. Visually dynamic, and I couldn't get over it. But also, can we like? I don't know if this means anything to you. Billy Zane is in this movie. He plays the pervy fashion design teacher, and he certainly looks like he should be because gross. But him being in there, I'm like, why are you in this movie?
It
Why are
literally could have been
you
anybody.
in this movie? Billy Zane, like John Rolfe in Pocahontas Journey to a New World, Kaladin Hockley in Titanic. Like, speaking of Titanic, Frances Fisher plays Rebecca's mom, who's maybe shown for maybe 30 seconds. And I'm like, why are you here? Who paid your fee to be here? You have no relevance to the plot. We get no backstory. You're like you could have been played by anyone. Why is Frances Fisher in this movie? I don't understand.
It's similar to what the the parents in Better Watch Out also
Yeah.
just a clip and then out. I feel like sometimes maybe they just try to like put bigger names in here just so that like they can be credited and be like, oh, maybe people will watch it more because so and so's in it.
Okay, but that's what Kayla said. And I'm like, okay, we were watching the credits and it says like people, and Billy Zane at the end. But in the middle of the people was Frances Fisher. I feel like it should have been like with Frances Fisher and Billy Zane, or like swap
Hmm.
their names, like vice versa. Like I would say maybe with Billy Zane because he's actually in it more, like he is a character.
Yeah.
Um, so I was just super confused. And then I made the note, I was like, I'm shocked every time I see Billy Zane in this because I saw this movie when it came out. Maybe I've seen it one other time since then, and then I just watched it twice for the podcast. And I'm like, oh my God, he's in it. And then by the time I was watching it 2 days later, I was like, oh my God, Billy Zane's in it. It's like it gets me every time. I was like, it's like Carrie Elway's in the newest Black Christmas. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, you have a
Well,
career. Are you just here so you can get your insurance for another year? What's going on?
mm. Or maybe they had like they helped with the writing or something and they're like, oh, just throw me in on one of the
No
random
way.
parts. I
No
don't
way.
know.
No
But
way.
it's
Neither of them were involved in the writing of this.
but
Absolutely not.
both characters could have been just a blob of a person. No, like, doesn't matter if they have any charisma or whatever, it wouldn't
Uniqueness,
have
nerve, or
mattered.
talent.
Mm-mm. They
Um,
would not. Yeah,
well, and then
no.
we were talking, me and Kayla, like this movie, like I remember seeing it when it came out, but I don't remember it ever making like any kind of impact. But like this cast is stacked
Mm-hmm.
with teen B kind of people. I mean, Ali Mashaka is probably the what do you think? Well, no, the boyfriend, Cam Gigrande, he's third on the call
Yeah.
sheet. Then maybe Ali Mashaka. I mean, Ali and AJ, she's a big deal. There's obviously Danielle Ackles, like she's big in like some other things that I haven't seen, but like I know who she is. Minka
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's huge. Leighton Meester is probably the biggest one overall. I mean, she's first credited. But I mean, Nina Dobrev, Kat Graham, Matt Lanter, like they all have like careers. Like this isn't a nothing nobody movie. This is crazy.
And it really didn't, as far as I can tell, like, I don't think it did amazingly. Like, it's
No,
just a movie that we saw because it came out when we were younger, and that was about it. I knew the gist of it. I didn't remember like explicit details about a lot of it, but I was like,
it's
I
hard
don't
to. Like
rem
this isn't really a movie that's going to stick with you, which is weird because like the dialogue, it's so 2011, but
Mhm.
like when I'm analyzing it, it's not a bad movie. It's not. It's very flat with plot. I mean, you gave three short sentences and that's it. Like that's the movie.
Yeah,
We're
you don't
not,
have to think to watch this at all. Like you
no.
could put this on and be like, okay, yeah, sure. And your brain doesn't have to do any kind of doesn't have to jump through a single loop to make they give it to you word for word what's going on.
Well, and it's kind of so to bring things in. So Rebecca is the roommate. Rebecca starts becoming obsessed with Sarah. We get we get some backstory on Rebecca eventually. We understand we find her medication, which we Google, and it's supposed to treat BPD or schizophrenia, I guess, and or. We don't
Hmm.
know which one she has. Her mom makes one mention of, is she taking her medication? But Sarah doesn't know about the medication yet. And then when they go back to Rebecca's house for Thanksgiving, there's a run in kind of with Nina Dobrev and her friends. But all we know is that Nina Dobrev saw Rebecca and went the other way. Then she just stands up and tells Rebecca, we were never friends. We have no idea what happened.
No, because the only we saw was so Rebecca is an artist, and so we saw sketches of Nina Dobrev in her room, and Sarah was like, "Oh, that's the girl from your pictures or whatever." And then she got weird about it and then wanted to leave. And that's when Nina was like, "We were not friends." And I'm like, I wish we could have gotten a glance of the past just like a little bit.
Just tell me something because, like, I get
Sure,
she's
they look
skeeved out
alike.
by Rebecca. I get that.
Hmm.
But, like, you approached her to be like, we were never friends. So I have no idea what's going on because Sarah and Rebecca are friends and friendly. I mean, and Rebecca immediately, like, there's no lead up. Like, this whole movie takes place between the beginning of school and like right after Thanksgiving break. So, like,
Right.
3 months.
Hmm.
Immediately, Rebecca starts blowing up Sarah, like, if she's not home, texting her, calling her, where are you? Is assaulting Rebecca's friends
Yeah.
and like
Threatening
making
her,
them
telling her.
leave her alone. Like, so she's isolating her
Hmm.
and but like we don't know what or why. Like, she does say like I always wanted a sister, and she does say that like because she comes out that basically she's rich and like has all these clothes and all of this access, and then she's like but nothing is ever free at my house. But when we see her parents,
They're
they're not
trying.
weird to
No,
us.
but no, but you can tell that they're tiptoeing around Rebecca a lot. Because Rebecca's just being a bitch to them and they're being pleasant. Like they're not being assholes.
And I
So it's like,
and I
why is
think
she
you
being
can
such a
have
dick?
I think you can have parents who act that way. I wouldn't know anything about that at all, but you're not showing us anything. Like, so for Sarah and Ali Mashaka plays Tracy, like they meet up first because Sarah gets there before Rebecca does. So she just meets people in her dorm. They go out and they form a friendship. And then they go out again, but Rebecca doesn't want to go because she's like a goody goody. And then Tracy ditches Sarah for some dude, and Sarah calls Rebecca to pick her up. And I'm like, okay, that's normal. That seems like college. That
Hmm.
seems like friendship. I would come get you for anything. Like, okay.
I've allowed you to ditch me. So like it's an unwritten rule that like you may or may not be going home with your friend at the end of the day if things go well for them. It's fine.
Oops.
They may just end up crawling back up the stairs randomly and losing their shoes.
Okay, we've told this story before.
I know. I just had to
Okay.
bring it up again.
It's like, okay, so in this movie, I'm a mix of Rebecca and Tracy because I'm a crazy whore. Because, like, I do want to point out that when Sarah introduces Rebecca to whatever Cat Graham's character's name is and Tracy, like, they immediately were like, we're gonna call you not your name that you've been introduced.
Yeah. She's like, I like Rebecca. And she was very cold with it, and they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, it was a weird
Why did they
vibe
say
that,
that though? They're like, Sarah's like, this is my roommate, Rebecca. So, like, you're 18, 19 years old, probably closer to 18, maybe 17. I'm going to say everybody in this is at least 18 because I'm an adult and that's all I want to think about. Um, but how do you go and say, I'm Sarah, this is my roommate, Rebecca? And everyone's like, can we call you Becca? Becky? Anything else? And she's just like, how about you call me by my name, bitch?
yeah, like this is the name I gave you. Call that. Like, use
Like,
that.
so she was right to hate them from the beginning. That was fucking rude.
I think they were trying to be like funny and it just came off wrong. I don't think that they had ill intent, but it was just like, okay, it's weird. But no,
They,
so from the beginning, they don't get off on a Like they don't have a great start between Tracy and Rebecca. So, and then once Tracy abandons Sarah at the party, I feel like that's when Rebecca's like, okay, I need to insert myself, help her out, and get Tracy out of her life because Tracy's not a good friend. And that's where it kind of starts. And Tracy, or no, Rebecca threatens Tracy.
Well, she like is
Well, it's like
outside
staying
the
outside her,
room.
right? She does something weird. Tracy comes outside of her room and then Rebecca's just sitting there staring at her and then gets up and then like leaves.
That's it.
And Tracy tells Sarah, she did something so fucking weird. Like she was just sitting outside my thing. Da, da, da. She's like, well, what did she do? She's like, nothing. She's like, okay then. And Sarah's being so like dismissive, which like, sure, technically Rebecca didn't do anything. But if you get a vibe, you get a vibe. And you don't have to be able to explain everything away. Ugh. So Tracy got a bad vibe. She was right.
Well, she was very right because look what happens to her like immediately after that.
Hmm. It's like she punished Tracy for telling on her, but I'm like, you never said don't tell anybody, but she did. So Tracy is showering and the lights turn off, and she's like, "Hey, bitch," like or something. I don't know. And then eventually she gets attacked by somebody in a raincoat, which is obviously Rebecca. And she tells her she's almost drowning her. Like she's got her face almost in the water. So like this is terrifying. And says if you tell Rebecca about or if you tell Sarah about this, I'll kill you basically. And then rips out her belly ring, throws it and goes, "Nice belly ring."
I
And
know
then
because like she
leaves.
calls her like a whore and like you're a bad influence on her. And it's I guess for Tracy's side, she definitely leaves Sarah alone after that, but like
Warn her.
she doesn't tell anybody, she doesn't tell anything. And I understand that she's scared, but this is kind of one of those things where I call it like the male situation reversal. Like this is just like a 5'5" little girl who's crazy and like very ballsy. But Ali Mashaka is taller than her. They're probably about the same strength. Like Tracy doesn't have parents, she doesn't have a teacher, the dean, anyone to be like, I was just assaulted.
Hmm. The
And she
problem
doesn't think that
is,
like there would be any kind of consequence.
yeah, I think the scary part, I don't know that Tracy knows this, but like let's for discussion's sake, let's say Tracy said something. Her par Rebecca's parents have so much money, more than likely it wouldn't even go anywhere and nothing would happen.
I mean, maybe, sure. I mean, she
But we
did
don't
move
know.
dorms, so she did remove herself from the situation and then like wasn't gonna be friends with
Yeah.
Sarah anymore. And Sarah's just like, I don't know why she just like walked off from me. And then Rebecca's like, I told you she was a flake.
Well, and I get what you mean now by male situation reversal because like if a dude came into the showers and like beat up a woman and then like if that was the person that your friend was with, you would tell them like, "Hey, that person is dangerous. They just attacked me for nothing, for no reason."
It's a weird balance because it's like I feel like anybody could take on Leighton Meester, pretty much. And I feel like it is a little more natural to maybe be scared of a man who's being more predatory. But then there's also this like dismissal everyone is kind of getting like red flags about her, but no one's doing anything. And even Sarah says later, she's like, what am I gonna report? Like she hasn't done anything to me. So like
Hmm.
it's also like a really smart crazy that Rebecca has because until she does something. She's not doing anything wrong.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of stalkers and predators use to intimidate women most of the time is because they're, you know, well, he's messaging me too much. And well, did you change your number? What did you do? Did you change your address? Did you move? And it's like, well, he hasn't done physically anything yet. He hasn't said any threatening words. So, like the police or whatever, they can't help you, even though you know that this is wrong and that this is dangerous. Until they act upon it, there's nothing they can do. So it's almost like, yeah, yes.
It's the part of it that kind of makes it hard to like really get into the movie at some points. Like I really feel like we're missing character because we've got plot because we just got scenes and I can't say that the scenes aren't well done. Like they are, but I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, like I feel like they played so heavy into the fact that Sarah is going to school for fashion to be designer. You know, she has a friend who's a designer. She's trying to wear all these cool clothes all the time, and they talk about clothes, and I'm like, this is not The Devil Wears Prada. Okay? Like, can we focus on something other than the clothing or the fashion? Because it's all shit anyway. Oh my God. You're not Blake Lively and it ends with us.
Okay. Well, this is the second recording in this episode, but I think we're going to call it here because Katrina just tried to call me a brunette. So,
No, I was making a joke that you're ugly, not a brunette.
hey, you can call me anything you want, just don't call me a brunette.
I was talking about my hair, and then she's like, took her hair down. She's like, I have one good thing going for me. And I said, what? That it's dark? And I meant the room is dark, and you can't see you very well. Not that your hair is dark.
Mm,
That,
well,
see, I can't make a blonde joke because you wouldn't get it anyway.
oh, damn.
Uh, okay.
See, see, this is what Sarah and Rebecca should have done. Like, you don't have to be crazy and murderous. You can just be mean.
And funny. Like, if
Well,
you're gonna be mean, at least make it funny.
okay.
Unless
Well, you're
they
still
deserve
working
it.
on the funny part.
I find myself hilarious.
Okay. Well, there's a reason why only my friends listen to this podcast and not yours.
Because you have more friends than me?
Guess I'm just better.
Or your friends have more time. I have to be nice because they're listening. The mic.
I don't. Um, I was just talking to Kayla because we do the free Zoom, so we have 40 minutes, and then we have like 15 minutes to dick around until we can come back on Zoom. Maybe if people were on our Patreon, we could afford to upgrade into regular Zoom. Maybe I don't know. Um, but I was just talking to Kayla, and she asked how it's going, and I was like, ah, it's fine. And then she said that she had some words for you for this
For
movie.
me,
Yeah, and I was like,
but
well, hey, you can say it all you want, just leave it in the comments.
there you go.
I was like, we gotta make it a real conversation,
Yeah. So a public conversation.
public forum. Yeah.
Listen,
Um,
she should just be glad that you aren't my roommate. So
that really
you're
was
welcome.
it really was the option. It was either I was gonna move in and annoy Katrina for however long she let me, or Kayla moved in with me, and Kayla moving in with me meant I didn't have to pack and move my own stuff. So it's pretty good situation. It's been okay. So she's been here for about a month. I mean, our pets are still alive. We haven't throat punched each other. It's going pretty okay.
You haven't found
Having a
random sketches
roommate.
of yourself
Well, I haven't
in
found
your.
any, but who knows?
Okay.
Um, but no, like I can attest, having a roommate doesn't have to be the worst thing. Sorry, Sarah, for what you went through. That was a a little outside the norm. Hope you're doing okay now. Hope you got some good therapy.
Mm,
She at the very end, she did have the option to move in with her boyfriend, and she was like, I think I just want to live by myself for a while. And I was like, good for you.
fair enough.
So speaking of the boyfriend, I guess we've gone over Tracy's journey. We can go over the boyfriend next because I feel like he
Sure.
comes next.
Well, I feel like ex-boyfriend and boyfriend happen kind of at the same time because like in the beginning, she's getting calls from Jason, her ex-boyfriend.
Jason and Steven, and they're in California. This is just Laguna Beach.
Jason and Steven are very common names. You can't,
No, it's Jason and Steven.
I have no
I,
idea what you're referring to, but it's
I'm
fine.
referring to Laguna Beach. I literally said Laguna Beach.
I know,
Um,
but I still don't know what that is.
so we have talked about One Tree Hill with Danielle Ackles, and now I'm bringing up Laguna Beach. And I would just like to use this moment on my own platform to say that I can't remember the name of the guy who plays, I think, Nathan James Lafferty. I'm pretty sure. But I met Stephen Coletti because they did a show and I was at a festival where they were premiering it. And then I got in trouble with security for leaving when it was showing, but I had to pee really, really bad. I was very drunk. And then, but like I left the side of the theater and I walked by the two guys and I was like, oh, that's Stephen Coletti. But like I literally just had to pee. So I was just leaving. And then somebody came out and was like, oh, you can't walk by there. And I was like, "Ugh, okay, well, I already did it. Are you gonna be
Yeah.
mad at me? So then
You
when I
want me to
came,
go in reverse? Like, what do you mean?
like, okay, do you want me to go back so you can tell me not to go that way? So then when I came in, ooh, I went around the other side of the theater. Okay. Sounds like your security's not that good. But
Mm.
then we got to meet them afterward. And everyone was talking about One Tree Hill. And I guess Steven was on that. I haven't seen that show. I don't know. But I was like, Steven. So then when I posted the picture of it, this is years ago, everyone was like, oh my God, Nathan, One Tree Hill. And I was like, hello. Do we not see the other person that I'm actually like leaning my head toward that I'm more excited about? So
Should have cropped it. So you only had that one then.
it's got to be on like my Facebook and Instagram. So
Probably. You'd
it's in
have to
there
scroll for a
somewhere.
while. Yeah,
Not that much. I don't post that much
fair. I
because
don't either.
I'm not like Rebecca on their Frienders site
Oh
where
my
she's
gosh.
putting Sarah as her best friend. And then Steven, he was like, maybe she likes you.
Mm-hmm.
And
She's
Sarah's
like,
like,
what do you
no,
mean?
no way. And I'm like, girl, girl, girl.
Rebecca may not like be gay, but she would do anything for her roommate. So I don't know what you call that.
Well, I mean, she fucked Irene.
Right, but it wasn't because she was attracted to Irene. She had an ulterior motive. So she was willing. Have you seen any of the uh American Horror Story?
I saw one and two.
Okay. I don't think this is that though. In one of them, I think it's crap, the one with the man pig thing. Roanoke. There it is. Um,
Mm.
okay. It's there's this actor, he's a little short gay guy, and he died in a car crash recently, and everybody was really sad. He had a voice.
Like the real person died.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Anyway, in one of them, he goes, you ever heard of gay for pay, Sonny boy? Or something like that. So maybe she's not gay for pay, but gay for
Play.
revenge. Oh, there you go.
I don't know. I just know. So Irene is Sarah's friend who she was a design consultant for Marc Jacobs, but I guess they're both from Des Moines. Cool.
Can I ask a
Um,
question?
okay.
Is Des Moines really that small of a town? I Googled it. It's got like 200,000 plus population. It's a big city in Iowa. Sure, it's Iowa, but this is not small town.
I no, I wouldn't call Des Moines small town in the small town sense, but it's not a metropolitan area as far as I know. Like I feel like the KC metro is more widespread than Des Moines, but even Kansas City's not like New York, Miami.
Because they were in LA, right? And so it's like, sure, Des Moines is not a city like that, but I'm like, it's a city. It's not because she's like, I
Yeah,
don't
but
because they
LA
keep
is
referencing
it's so different. It's so so
it
so so
is.
different.
And
And
that's
living in LA before, like Kansas City's way different. Like it's different.
yeah, but
So
I'm
like
like, don't call yourself a small town girl trying to make it in the fashion world when you're from Des Moines, which is like one of the largest cities in Iowa. Like, come on
yeah,
now.
but your population in Iowa is probably the lower half of the 50 states. So, I
Maybe.
mean, but also, I'm from Bonner Springs, but I say I'm from Kansas City. So I'm a small town girl trying to make it in this podcast world.
You don't get to call yourself a small town girl if you grew up in a metro-ish area. Like you're part, like
I think you're gatekeeping
I am. I
no man's
absolutely am.
land versus small town.
This is not no man's land. Small town is like
A small.
20,000 or less population, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna let you have this one because I know I see your heart and I know where you're coming from. But just know
I
in
understand.
LA, Des Moines is no man's land.
Sure, I get that. I understand that there's like, if you're going to somewhere like LA or New York, I understand. Everything else is small town, basically. Sure. But
So they're feeling like fish out of water. So they feel the culture shock of being in a city with millions of
mm,
people. So they're feeling small town. It's a relatable feeling. I'm gonna let you have it. You can
okay.
win. I get what you're saying. And I don't even
Okay,
remember what we
I'll
were saying before.
we're talking about gay for play or gay for pay, basically. I don't know.
I'm
Is
just gay, I
Rebecca
guess.
gay, basically? I don't know.
I, well, here's the thing about Rebecca. We don't know a lot.
We're back to the lack of plot.
It's just, it makes it really, really hard to get into this because like there's so many things that we're seeing surface level. Like even when Rebecca goes to pick up Sarah after Tracy ditches her, like they meet up at a diner. So Sarah's being safe, that's good. And then she's supposedly been drinking and she's drunk and she really wants pancakes, and that's fine. But then Rebecca is like, oh, well, Tracy ditched you. She had you tonight. Tomorrow you're all mine. Like we're getting lesbian out of that. Rebecca comments on Sarah's art stuff. And then that's when the subject of Irene comes up. And then she's like, oh, she's pretty. And then, she's featured with a bunch of girls. So she's like, oh, like she's into girls. And or Sarah's like, yep, she is. Like, doesn't think anything of it. So Sarah's pretty progressive coming from Des Moines in 2011.
Hmm? I would give her that.
And then that's just something that Rebecca's gonna
Well, because
exploit.
I think Rebecca is confused on what she wants, honestly. Because she acts like she wants a friend, but then she goes into this even weirder, I never had a sister. I always wanted a sister, and then starts focusing on Sarah's deceased sister and trying to replace that in her life. And that's where Sarah is like, okay, this is fucked, you
Yeah.
know? But it's like, are you wanting to be her sister, her lover, or her friend? You cannot be all three.
Okay. I think you're right. But when you're saying it like that, that's pretty gay. She's a young girl in college trying to figure it all out. She has had these really
Mm.
intense, I'll use the term loosely, even though it's already a loose term, situationships. And it becomes obsession. And then I'll say we assume it gets destructive for anything that's prior to Rebecca meeting Sarah. So she doesn't know what she wants because it's 2011. She doesn't have all the terminology. And even though she grew up in LA and you would imagine probably understands more progressive culture, I'm just
Hmm.
gonna throw that logic bit away. So,
Or does she want to be Sarah?
well,
Because she talks to the ex-boyfriend on the phone, pretending to be her. She gets the tattoos, she wears the necklace, she dyes her hair. I know that part of that is to trick Jason, but at the same time, she didn't have to do all that.
okay, well, I will bring this up because Katrina and I talked about it a tiny bit on the break because she made that comment about Blake Lively and the fashion from It Ends With Us, whatever. This is not an It Ends With Us controversy podcast. I will not comment other than to say I love Blake Lively and I won't hear anything else. But she brought up Blake Lively, and then we were talking about how on my time hop, I've just been seeing a bunch of like my old Tumblr reblogs about Blake Lively and like me writing posts like, she's so pretty, or like stuff for Jennifer Lawrence or Taylor Swift. And me in 2011 didn't know I was gay, didn't know anything about it, didn't have anything. So like, I don't want to say I relate to Rebecca in the sense because like I'm not that crazy. I have some limits. Um,
You respect boundaries.
sometimes.
Mm.
Um, but it's really kind of that thing. It's like, why do I like them so much? Do I want to be them? Do I just like them? Do I like them?
Hmm.
So Blake Lively is, one of my intros. So I respect her for that, and I will always hold like a special place in my heart for her.
You know, my I feel like the actress that would like kind of opened my eyes was Ruby Rose. And even now I'm like, meh, Ruby Rose isn't my type. But back then I was like, damn, Ruby Rose, she could get it. And that's when I found out. I was like, well, maybe I am a little gay. I don't know.
And
Took a
that's
while.
okay. That's okay. Um, but there's
Up to
lots
the
of
accent.
things that Rebecca does because she's just really trying to insert herself and like Kayla says isolate Sarah, which isn't wrong, but she's doing everything she can to be more likable to Sarah.
I think isolate is accurate, but it's also like, which is something that abusers do, right? They cut you off from your support systems so that you're the only one that they can turn to. I think in Rebecca's mind, she's protecting, Sarah being like, oh, bad friend, bad ex, bad influence, you know,
Predatory
isn't
teacher.
isn't me. Oh, I always forget about the teacher. It's like that never even happened.
Well, okay. Here's a brief overview. So Billy Zane, playing this fucking teacher with a newsboy cap on, thinks that
Oh,
Sarah has such style when she's wearing a peacock blue fedora and a white fluffy scarf. Like, I know it's 2011, but I
it's
can't,
still bad
I
in
can't, I can't, I
2011.
can't. If it wasn't them commenting on fashion so much, I don't think it would bother me this much. So, whatever. But basically, the teacher has Rebecca or Sarah alone in his office and says, there's this internship in Paris, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't always have to be seniors that go. I think you'd be a great fit. So Sarah's excited about it, and then he makes a move on her. He kisses her. And Rebecca or Sarah turns that down and then meets up with Rebecca in the library and tells her what happened, that he kissed her and that she thinks he's married. So good for her. Sarah has some boundaries. And then Rebecca takes it into her own hands and then like pretends to seduce the teacher and then records him trying to get with her, which he fell into that too easily. So like this is obviously not his first time. But then she feigns like, "Stop, you're hurting me." Like she's just standing there saying it and records it. So she's like, "I'm gonna ruin your life." And then she sends it to the dean. So then there's a substitute. So you get the point where Rebecca does do some good. So it like checks her in. She's like, "Yeah, like what I'm doing is obviously working."
Well, but the other part to that is like she doesn't tell Sarah that she's doing any of these things. So it's like Sarah doesn't know that you're doing all of these quote unquote nice things to protect her. You're just doing, so she's doing them without praise or without like being requested and assuming that Sarah should be thankful when she has no freaking clue what you're doing. It's like she's like, I did all these things for you. One, nobody asked you. Two, she had no idea you did any of that.
It's
Delusional.
it's it comes down to writing and character.
Yeah. Ugh.
So I
But I
do
do
go
jinx.
ahead.
Oh, that was it. No, I feel like when we have movies like this that highlight like toxic friendships for women, it's so when you're in them, it's really hard to see, but like when you're watching it, it's really easy to be like, "Oh, that's fucked up. Like that's a bad friend." But like when it's in your own personal life, I think it's harder to kind of pin down and be like, is that a bad friend or is that just me being paranoid? Or should I give her the benefit of the doubt or is she being weird about this?
Are you saying
Kind
that
of
I'm a
thing.
bad friend and you hate me?
No, maybe. Maybe this is our breakup. No, I'm just kidding. Our friendship breakup. No, but I think
Okay.
that's as I don't know, it makes it hard to trust new friends sometimes, or even old friends. Like you were in a friendship for a really long time that was toxic, probably the entire time.
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
I was trying not to, but then I'm like, it is what it is. But it's hard to see it when you're in it.
Well, yeah, and cue me. So my bad friend was also named Sarah, but it had an H. This
Oh,
girl does not have an H. Fuck, I'm Taylor Swift. I'll name names. I don't give a fuck.
I forgot that her name was Sarah, to be honest. My hope was that they had the same name, but I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
So when
I
I was
forgot.
typing notes, I kept typing Sarah with an H, and I'm like, no, not that bitch. So, but okay, I will say our toxic friendship was not like this. It was more like Jennifer's Body, which we did
We
cover.
did talk about, yeah. So if you
So,
wanted to hear about that, go listen to Jennifer's Body.
yeah, and you can also hear about how nice Katrina was, because honestly, being friends with Katrina taught me what having a nice friend is like. So I was like, hey, wait a minute. I'm not being treated nice. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to hang out with Katrina. And we've been friends for, I think, 5 years. Like, I think
hmm
our anniversary's coming up soon. Um, yeah, and it's kind of great.
I feel like that's
So
just kind of what it takes sometimes is like, you're like, oh, this is easy. This is how I should be treated. And when you are treated like that, you're like, the fuck did I accept that for? Like, that's bullshit.
so
So it's like when Yuri and I got together, I'm like, it can be this easy. Like, this is nice. Like, everybody's like, marriage is hard. Marriage is so much work. I'm like, not if you just live with your best friend and you love each other and you respect each other. It's really not.
I do feel like we have to say a bad thing that Rebecca does that I cannot get over and I will not forgive.
I think that this part proves that she is probably schizophrenic or psychotic and not just bipolar
Maybe.
because
I
she she commits kitty murder in a very awful way for a stupid reason so that Sarah wouldn't move out.
Sarah is on a run because she's a runner girl, I guess.
Ugh.
And she finds this stray kitten, brings it home, Rebecca says they can keep it. Sarah's crime was naming it Cuddles. That's fucked up.
Yep.
Um, and then they get caught from their RA, so they are trying to figure out something to do with the cat. And Irene can't take it because Irene travels for her fashion work, but she offers for Sarah to move in with her because she's got an apartment. She's never there. You can have your cat. This is a great idea.
Clothes. Yeah.
So Sarah says she's like, I'll talk to Rebecca about it. And I'm like, you don't have to. You can just do whatever you want, first off.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's just her being nice and including her in the discussion, I guess.
Maybe because it's like a shared cat. Maybe I don't know.
Well, it's only a
If
shared cat is because Sarah is always off like on her dates or getting hit on by her teacher. She's not ever there taking care of the cat. Except for the scene when the cat like supposedly runs away.
hmm
That's the only two times we ever see Sarah with a damn cat. Rebecca's always taking care of the cat.
True.
Um, but anyway, Sarah tells Rebecca, like, oh, Irene offered for me to move in here, and that way we can keep Cuddles, and then you can have more closet space for all of your beautiful clothes. So, Rebecca,
Which, if that was me, bye. A whole room to myself. Bye. Get out.
oh,
Leave. I don't care.
well, and that's like where Rebecca like trips herself up because she's like, I don't want more closet space. I want, and then she like stops. I'm like, you want her? You want her a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit,
Mm.
maybe.
Yeah, little gay.
Um, we don't have to say what she does to it. It's pretty fucked up, right?
I mean, we could skip it, or I can say it if you want to.
I don't. It's really bad. It's really, really, really
She
bad.
she could have just taken it to a shelter. She could have dropped it off in the middle of nowhere, and it would have been kinder than what she did.
It's it's really bad. In case you don't want to see anything, if you see the scene where Rebecca has the cat sitting on her laundry basket and she's going into the laundry room, just
Skip ahead
skip
two
scene.
minutes.
Just skip the scene. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. Honestly, I
Okay.
was on Rebecca's side, like just having a good time watching her be a little crazy, and then I wasn't on her side anymore.
Yeah, she lost your support.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though. So I know that this is like a scary movie, right? But really it's not. There's not a whole lot of like
It's a teen thriller. It's
I feel like it could have been they could have like upped the scary with like a few like oh uh Rebecca is stalking her and she's in a dark corner and like things like I don't know. It
I mean,
just
she
wasn't I
stalks the
wanted it
boyfriend in the library, which is weird.
yeah, but I'm like it could have been spookier and I think I would have enjoyed it more if it was
Well,
spookier.
well, and then there's a really beautiful shot. Sarah and her boyfriend, they're sitting at some window table, I think at the library or whatever. And then there's a little tiny courtyard. And then in the other glass area, I don't know if it's like just another wing of the library or whatever, she's just staring over at Sarah and Steven. So like it's a really cool shot when you see her like in the middle off in the distance and then the two are sitting at the table. I liked that.
I thought the part where so the first time that Sarah goes to hook up with her new boyfriend, um she and him are kissing on the bed and stuff like that. And then Rebecca answers the phone and it's Jason. And so like Rebecca's pretending to be Sarah with her ex and he's like here. And so like they're almost doing the same thing at the same time. And I was like, oh,
Oh, yeah, because Sarah left her phone at home.
mm-hmm.
So she just answers it when it's Jason. But actual Sarah is actually getting fucked.
Yeah.
And Rebecca's just like getting off on the phone. And they're both like sideways shot, moaning at the same
So it just like
time.
goes back and forth between Rebecca and Sarah and Rebecca and Sarah. Like,
See, this is where I just think if we had more plot and if we were able to get into these characters' real lives a little bit more, I
I
think it
care
would just
about
make the
none of
movie
these
better.
people. Yeah, because I
No.
I care about none of these people. Like we open up, Sarah's like Sarah Matthews, and then she gets her room number, and then she goes to her room and drops it off. And we realize that she's there for fashion school. Like that is what we know of Sarah. And she's from Des Moines, and she has an ex-boyfriend who was supposed to go to the same college as her, but he fucked that up and didn't go to the same college, and so they broke up, and like that's that's all the past we have on Sarah.
Well, and she had a sister who died. They
At
were a
nine.
few years
Yeah.
apart. And then because Rebecca takes Sarah to a museum because she's an artist and stuff, and then they're walking around and she's like, "Listen, I love art, but I don't understand tattoos, needles in your skin, blah blah blah." Then Sarah shows off her titty tat that's in this like really scripty font that says Emily because that's her older sister. And then towards the end, Rebecca decides she wants to get a tattoo, takes Sarah with her, and then gets the exact same tattoo.
In the same place, same font, same
And
word, name.
but then she says, "You can call me Emily if you want to." And Sarah just like freaks out and leaves. And then she moves out, which is great. She
She
moves in
does
with
it, she does
Steven.
things correct. Yeah. And she's like, I don't even want to go back there, like to get her necklace or whatever, because her sister's necklace was the only thing she kept. And so her boyfriend goes up there to try and find it, and he can't. And he's like, leave her alone. And I'm like,
I
that
thought
was
he
real.
was like as nice as he could be because Rebecca's freaking out and she's like, "What did I do to her? Did I do something wrong?" And he's just like, she just needs to move on and focus on her own stuff. But then Rebecca takes this weird camera shot of Steven when he's standing right there. And he's just like, "Well, you do stuff like that."
Yeah. And he's like, you know what? I can't anymore. I tried.
So it is weird. And I feel like overall, Sarah's got like a good support system. Like Steven, like he's a frat boy. Like how they meet is like he accidentally spilt beer on her so he could
Ugh.
have a chance to talk to her. And he like shows up, but like he seems like he's just like a guy. He's nice. He's
Yeah.
not really doing anything. He's not
He's
a
a
bad
drummer in the
guy.
band. He's,
Oh,
yeah.
what did he say? There's one line. No, 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 no. Oh, he comes to Sarah's coffee shop because that's where she got a job, and he's like, "I think I'm gonna quit the band." And then she's like, "Why? Like you love it, blah blah." Blah." And he's like, "Well, it's a huge waste of time, and we suck." And then I was like, "Oh, that's like me and Katrina in the podcast." But
Yeah.
this is fun.
We have a
Oh,
good time.
this note I put after it, I said Rebecca gone girling herself with the face hits. Like she does like if you're gonna make an A in sign language, like a fist, but like your thumb
Yep.
is at your side, not like in front. And she like takes her fingers and she's hitting herself in the cheek. And I'm like, girl, use the heel of your hand if you're gonna hit yourself, or like the side. Like, why are you using your fingers and then you're just hitting yourself a bunch of times? Like, if you want to break capillaries, break some capillaries. She's crazy. She cuts her stomach with a box knife and she feigns like being attacked in an alley. But Sarah wants to
She
help
doesn't want to
her.
report it.
Exactly. And she's like, I only want you to know. And I'm just like, girl, it's a little much at this point.
Yeah. I'm like, and she looks so proud of like her bruises when she's done. She's like, yeah, I did a good job. Like, scrape your knee. Do something. Like, you probably fell down, scrape a knee. I personally don't think that I would hit myself. I would probably like use something to, because I don't know. I don't think I could hit myself hard enough to bruise. I'm not that crazy, I guess.
Try right now and see.
I don't want to. See, I feel like I would punch myself with my knuckles because that's what people use.
Oh, you know what? Actually, looking at you doing that, maybe she did it with her fingers because her fingers aren't gonna bruise, but your knuckles, when you
Mm,
punch something, they swell. Maybe okay, okay. You
maybe
know
she's
what,
smarter than
Rebecca?
us.
Maybe I'll give it to you. I'm gonna let you have that one.
Either way, she creates a situation so that Sarah cannot leave for Thanksgiving and has to go to Thanksgiving with her to her family's house, which is only 20 minutes away. So, like, you didn't have to spend your whole Thanksgiving and you didn't have to stay there. But they get to the house, the parents are being weird because Rebecca's being a bitch and just saying all this bad stuff, but they live in like a mansion. And she's like, it's my parents' house. It's not my house. Okay, if your parents are rich and you're underage, you are also rich at this
Yes.
point. Until you move out and you're on your own money, you're rich.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to complain about it some more. You don't give us anything to feel for you about your relationship with your parents. You don't give anything to feel for you about why you're so obsessed. So I I know that we're supposed to see you as a crazy girl, but you don't think you're crazy. So you tell me why you're not crazy and why I should like be on your side. Because you want
Right. Did
everybody
you
else on your side. So me too.
if your if your parents are the bad people who put you like who they hospitalized you, they medicated you, they did all this stuff, like if your parents are the bad people, show us. You know, they look normal, they sound normal, they care, they pay for your college.
Well, yeah, I mean, they must have
No
thought that
complaints
she was doing
here.
okay because they let her go to college.
Yeah. Which I'm sure it was on the premise of you have to take your medication in order to go. But like nobody's checking that.
Well, yeah, because she's got a whole bottle. And then poor Sarah, like poor sweet summer child Sarah. She's like, maybe this is a refill, and Rebecca's been taking the medicine the whole time. And then Steven's like, I don't think so, babe.
Thank God for Stephen, because like talk some sensitive. I understand trying to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, but at this point it's getting dangerous because you're already kind of like seeing some of the weird red flags. But it's like, girl, it's yeah, because when they're out for Thanksgiving, that's when they see the girls from Rebecca's high school and it gets weird. And that one girl says, we were never friends.
But we don't know
And
why. Like, it's just
no, we
not
just
fair. Like, I
all we
want
know
to
is that
know.
she's making sketches of these girls that she's obsessed with. And so they
But
do the
like,
tattoo, Sarah moves out, and then that's kind of like the snapping point for Rebecca's craziness.
well, 'cause I was gonna say because at that point, like, she dyes her hair just a little bit darker. It's not even that much of a difference.
It's really not.
She has Emily's necklace. She has the Emily tattoo. She goes to Jason's hotel because like he thinks he's rekindling with Sarah because of the phone sex they had. But then Rebecca shows up and just kills him because she's taking care of the problem. And Jason doesn't deserve Rebecca or Sarah.
So Rebecca now texts Sarah from Irene's phone saying it's urgent, you need to come over right now. So obviously, Sarah's like, I'm on my way, but she is smart about it and texts, or I guess she leaves a message, like a voicemail, whatever, for her boyfriend Steven saying, hey, I'm worried, meet me at this place, and actually gives the address because we all know if you're like, meet me at this place and it's a man, he's probably not going to know what you're talking about. And I doubt he's ever been to Irene's house. So there's that. But, um,
Finally, the movie gave us some kind of a detail.
yeah, an address. But then the action starts. And it all happens in the last like 7 minutes, 10 minutes probably in total.
It's a
So
really intense scene. I was talking to Kayla and I
it
was like,
is.
wow, I wonder how long it took them to shoot this without like the blocking and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But Sarah arrives to find Irene tied up to her bed. So thankfully, didn't kill her. We like that. We appreciate that. Uh, but Rebecca is there and has a gun and is getting ready to kill Irene. And why Rebecca is choosing to kill Irene in front of her rather than just do it and then show her, I don't know. But it's like I wonder what, because it's like so many things could go wrong. Why don't you just control the things you can, kill the person, then have her come over and be like, hey, she's dead now. You're welcome. I don't know.
I guess
There's
one, it's the end of the movie, so we, the audience, need a big scene, I guess. Um, I guess for Rebecca, because she's going off on Sarah and like pulls a gun on her. She's like,
yeah.
all I wanted was to be your friend. And Sarah's like, we are friends. And she's like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just don't think you know what friends are, but I don't know that about you. So that's all I got.
Yeah. And so Rebecca puts a trash bag over Irene's face to suffocate her. And then she's holding the gun up to Sarah so that she doesn't intervene. And then how does it? I don't even remember how she distracts her or if she just attacks her. Either way, Sarah wrestles with finally somebody's fighting back with her because it's gotten to this point. Like somebody's, thank God. And so Sarah starts fighting Rebecca. The gun gets like kicked away, and Irene is still suffocating on the trash bag in the meantime. But she fights her, doesn't really do a great job, but gets her out of the room and like locks the door. So like locks her out of the room to give her time to like never unties Irene, but takes the plastic bag off of her head and the gag out of her mouth, and then goes to escape out the window. And I'm like, ugh, it's
The window is
stressful.
really
Like
rough.
watching it, but watching it, it's like, okay, this is a stressful situation. Like, what other choice does she have? So, as she's trying to escape out the window, Rebecca is like freaking out, being like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, be my friend. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But when that doesn't work, she starts tearing the apartment up, looking for the gun, finds the gun, shoots the locks, and then comes in. I don't even know how many shots she gets off, but she's getting ready to kill Irene when Steven shows up and knocks her out. Thank God somebody knocks her the fuck out.
Like a punch right to her nose. I loved
Yeah.
it.
And he took the gun away. Thank God. Somebody was prepared for a horror movie like situation here. Like
The only comment I had was, ugh, I hate when the saving the day happens from a man.
he doesn't and it's funny you say that because he knocks her out and then goes to like help. So Sarah fell and is holding onto the curtains and is like dangling outside the window. And he's like pulling the curtains up to try and help her in, but then Rebecca wakes up, knocks him out, and then Rebecca saves the day and like pulls her through the window. So they share the limelight a little bit there because Rebecca's like, I'm gonna save my friend, not some boy, which is dumb, but it is what it is. And so Sarah gets in the room, she finds the gun and she points it at Rebecca, and Rebecca's like, you wouldn't shoot me. We're friends. The gun just clicks when Sarah pulls the trigger, and the switch just goes off in Rebecca's head. And I'm like, oh, you fucked up. You
It's
fucked up.
I loved it because she's like, you're not gonna shoot me. And then she's like, you were gonna shoot me. I loved it. It was so funny. And then they
The
fight for
delusion is
real.
real. Yeah. There's a real fight going on. And then she, I like that Sarah like pretended to be like ugh, dead or like not passed out from her choking her because it gave her
Hot.
a chance to like grab the box cutter, which makes its appearance again. She cut herself with it, then she stabbed Jason with it. And so now, instead of stabbing her in the kidney, stabbing her in the lung, the neck, whatever, she stabs her in the back and says, we were never friends. And she just like and falls to the ground.
Well, okay. I have a lot of things that I can
It's
talk about
drama.
with just like that tiny little
Drama.
scene, which is one with the box cutter. It's another Jennifer's body. I'm like, God, you're butch. I made myself laugh so hard with that. But then the stabbing in the back, because that's what female friendships typically burn out with is
Hmm.
backstabbing. So it's a little poetic. And then no double tap.
No, but we do get the classic like uh pause on the face with the the eyes opening, but then she dies afterwards. But like
Oh
we got
yeah.
that little
And then
bit.
Sarah like yanks Emily's necklace off of her because she was still wearing it.
Very gently though. Like she's very like "Ugh," and like it came off.
Yeah.
So she got her necklace back. She should have cut the tattoo off of her with the box cutter.
It's like,
Take
that's my
everything.
sister, you bitch. I don't
So,
know how
and
I feel about the we were never friends thing because like I get that they're just saying it again, but I don't get it because
but
we
they
don't
were
know enough about this
friends.
character.
No, but in a way they were friends. Like take out the crazy and take out the manipulation. Like they were friendly. Like they went to the art show together. They had a cat together. They, checked in with each other. They did things that friends would do. Pick someone up from a party. Like went to Thanksgiving with their family. So like they were friends. She was just, I think, angry and just said it to be mean.
I guess like that's really
I
the
don't
only
know.
thing. Like you could argue like they were never friends because Rebecca went from 0 to 100 like as soon as they met. But I just feel like that's poor writing, not anything else.
Yeah. Because she was a little weirded out when she's like, oh my God, I'm already her like number one friend. But she wasn't like, oh my God, we're not even friends when that happened. She's like, I'm her number one friend. That's weird. Not being friends.
I'm the number one guy in this group. There's a little bit of Vanderpump for you. I don't, I mean, I feel like we've like pretty much talked about like our topics and like female friendships and stuff like that. Like I wish there was more to pull in, but everything that we're speaking of mostly is just our interpretation of what the writer could have meant.
Hmm.
It doesn't feel metaphorical or elevated. It feels like you missed something.
Yeah. I'm not, and it's hard to put like your finger on it, but it's like, if I don't care about these characters, that's fine. But I need to feel something. So it either make me scared, make me care about them, make me feel something other than I'm watching a movie. This is what's happening on the screen. Okay, thank you. Have a good time. Bye.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
I I guess I like it. I would give it
3 out of 5.
2.5 because of that damn cat.
Fair enough.
0 because of that damn cat.
If
But I will say, Leighton Meester, you're hot. Call me. She
you're
plays
listening.
a lesbian in this other movie, which is about friendships. It's called Life Partners. I really like that movie. I've only seen it a few times. I watched it a couple years ago, and then I just watched it like a few weeks ago again, and I was like, I get it. And she's a lesbian in that, like an actual one. So maybe you should just watch it in
Mm,
general.
maybe I'll do that.
What do you want to do for next month? February, month of love.
Well, there's a few things. We could do something Valentine's Day related. I don't think, unless you want to do like a Groundhog Day thing where the day repeats, we could do Happy Death Day. Um,
Ooh, I like Happy Death Day.
I don't know that I've seen it, so that would be a new one for me. Let's see if we can find something that's streaming somewhere. How about that? Okay, well, we can consider Happy Death Day, but I'm like, so that's something Groundhog Day, day repeating kind of deal. Um, we could do a Monster Mash where we talk about movies that have either very
Yes,
hot
yes,
villains.
yes, 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 yes. I remember you said that. Yes.
We could do, you know, we could call it Monster Smash or pass.
I love it. I love it. I'm sold. You don't need to convince me on
So
anything else.
I don't know how we're going to structure it. I don't know how it's going to go, but we'll figure it out and we'll report back in February.
maybe we'll do it like a bracket. Oh, but that
Ooh,
would be March. That would be March
March Madness.
Madness.
But we could do a bracket for March.
Okay. Let's do Happy Death Day for February if it is streaming. If it's not, we'll do Monster Smash or Pass. And then we will figure out what kind of category we want to do for a March Madness bracket.
Hmm.
I
Thank you
guess
guys for listening. Happy birthday to me, and we'll see you on the next one.
whatever that is.
Yeah, we don't know. It's a surprise for all of us.
Thank you guys for listening. We hope that you enjoyed our episode and we look forward to hearing from you.
Find us on Twitter or Instagram to request a movie or even just to discuss your thoughts at Booze and Boobs. Or send us an email, boozeandboobs@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we're working on turning this into a thing. So if you can please follow us on Patreon, our account there is Booze and Boobs also.
And what are some of the benefits to joining our Patreon?
Oh, Katrina, I am so glad that you asked. As a patron, you will get early release episodes, bloopers, mini episodes where we showcase scenes from the movies that we're talking about or just conversations that we're having that we had to cut from our recording.
All that and more. And they're fun tiers. You can be an A cup, a C cup, or you can join the Triple D Plus group like us.
We truly appreciate your support and we look forward to growing our following to create more content for listeners like you.
So we'll see you next time, or else.
Yeah, let's end it with a threat.